If there is one country where strict traditional rules exist side by side with a quietly rebellious spirit, it is England. The nation is often admired for its refined way of life, yet few realize that behind this seemingly reserved exterior lies a collection of truly distinctive traits. Would you believe that the way someone communicates or even how they react to a sudden rain shower can reveal an entire civilization? The British remain a fascinating paradox, intensely serious when it comes to work, yet capable of embracing habits and traditions that border on the wonderfully strange. In a world increasingly saturated with modernity, the lifestyle of this island nation continues to hold a unique and enduring charm. Join me as we explore the distinctive characteristics that make the British who they are. First, the habit of queuing is not just a habit for the British, it is a principle of daily life. To them, standing in line represents respect, fairness, and civility. Cutting in is not simply impolite, but is almost considered a form of collective offense. The British can remain silent for a long time, yet the moment someone disrupts the order of the queue, the atmosphere immediately becomes tense. There is no need for words. A single look or a soft tut is enough to make the person cutting in feel as though they have committed a serious social wrongdoing. Next comes what could be called excessive politeness, which has almost become instinctive for the British. Words like please, thank you, and especially sorry are used so frequently that they sometimes lose their original meaning. The British apologize when someone bumps into them. They apologize when they are blocking someone's way. They even apologize when nothing has actually happened. In Britain, sorry is not necessarily an admission of fault, but rather a social tool. It can express genuine regret, help ease tension, or simply acknowledge another person's presence. You bump into someone in the supermarket, you say sorry. Someone bumps into you, you say sorry as well. Even when walking into furniture, many people instinctively apologize. This level of politeness makes communication in Britain feel smooth, gentle, and low in conflict. At the same time, it creates a very distinctive cultural trait. It is better to apologize first than to allow a situation to become awkward. For the British, politeness is not just about manners, it is a way of keeping society running smoothly, even in the smallest everyday moments. Another defining trait is privacy. This is a cultural characteristic deeply embedded in the way the British communicate. They value personal space both physically and emotionally. When first getting to know someone, the British rarely ask about income, private life, or overly personal matters. Not because they are cold or distant, but because they believe that respecting other people's boundaries is one of the highest forms of politeness. In early conversations, the British tend to choose safe topics such as the weather, traffic, or very everyday matters. This allows both sides to feel comfortable without being pressured to share more than they are ready to. For them, closeness does not come from asking deeply personal questions, but from giving each other enough time. Only as a relationship gradually develops do personal stories begin to emerge naturally. And it is this slowness that creates long-term trust. In Britain, not asking too much is not indifference. It is a quiet way of saying, I respect you and I'm not in a hurry to enter your private world. Just give me a few seconds to mention the upcoming video. You can scroll ahead to take a look. It will be about Swedish-style decluttering. Don't miss it. The fourth habit is respect for time. This is an unwritten rule in British culture. For the British, being punctual is not simply about arriving early or on the dot, it is a way of showing respect for other people's time. A meeting scheduled for 10 hadais means 10 not 10:05 or whenever you arrive. The British can be very polite and very patient, but they are uncomfortable with being kept waiting without a clear reason. In both professional and social settings, arriving late is often seen as unprofessional or even disrespectful, even if no one says it out loud. The discomfort is usually hidden behind a courteous smile, but it is still there. Interestingly, British punctuality does not feel rigid or military-like. It comes from the belief that time is the fairest resource everyone has and therefore should not be taken lightly from others. Arriving on time is their quiet way of saying, "I value you and I value this commitment." One of the most familiar habits is talking about the weather. The British often want to start a conversation without putting any pressure on the other person. Weather is a safe, neutral topic that does not invade personal privacy, making it perfect for breaking the silence between people who are not yet close. A simple comment about rain, wind, or a gray sky is enough to open a light conversation without requiring anyone to share too much about themselves. The weather in Britain is famously unpredictable, which is exactly what makes it an endless source of conversation. The British can talk at length about clouds, wind, whether it feels slightly colder than yesterday, or whether a particular drizzle even counts as real rain. But the importance lies not in the weather itself, it is in the sense of safety it provides. For the British, talking about the weather is not meaningless small talk. It is a subtle social gesture that allows people to connect without crossing personal boundaries. When there is nothing else to say, simply mentioning the sky outside is enough, and the conversation begins naturally, gently, in a very British way. The sixth habit is their humorous way of speaking. Instead of speaking directly, they often use light sarcasm, say the opposite of the issue, or make fun of themselves to reduce tension in communication. A dry joke may sound serious at first, but in fact contains another layer of meaning behind it. When a situation becomes awkward, the British rarely show strong emotions. They choose to laugh at themselves, turn inconvenience into a humorous story, and use sarcasm as a pressure release valve. This is not coldness or distance, but a way of keeping everything at a moderate level, not too heavy, not too showy. What is interesting is that this type of humor is often very subtle. If unfamiliar with it, outsiders can easily misunderstand it as seriousness or a lack of goodwill. But for the British, self-mockery is a sign of emotional intelligence, knowing how to see one's own imperfections and helping conversations become more comfortable. Tea drinking culture is another defining part of life in Britain. It is not simply a habit, it is a daily rhythm. It is estimated that around 100 million cups of tea are consumed across the UK every day, from early morning until late at night. Tea appears in every moment when comfort is needed, when there is something to celebrate, when people feel confused or tired, or simply when they do not know what to do next. Drinking tea in Britain is never rushed. It is a small pause in the day, a perfectly acceptable reason to slow down. And with tea, biscuits are almost essential, especially the habit of dipping biscuits into tea, known as dunking. The biscuit must be dipped just right, soft enough to absorb the tea, but not so long that it falls apart at the bottom of the cup. Anyone who has lost a biscuit this way understands what a small but deeply regrettable disaster it is. This habit may seem trivial, but it reveals a great deal about the British, a love for small rituals, an appreciation for familiarity, and an ability to find comfort in simple things. Following this are the unusual hobbies of the British. These are not exceptions, they are a very serious part of British cultural life. Across the country, traditional festivals are still maintained that make outsiders look on and ask, why, while the British simply see no need to explain. One of the most well-known examples is cheese rolling, a competition where people chase a rolling wheel of cheese down a steep hill in Gloucestershire. Participants rush downhill at uncontrollable speed, slipping, tumbling, and sometimes getting injured, all just to reach the cheese at the bottom. There is no big prize and no international fame, yet every year people still sign up, not to win, but for tradition. Then there is bog snorkeling, a mud snorkeling competition in Wales. Participants wear goggles and snorkels and move through a thick, muddy trench where visibility is almost zero and elegance does not exist. The rule is simple: no normal swimming, only snorkeling. The more confusing it sounds, the more appealing it becomes. What is interesting is that the British do not see these activities as ridiculous. To them, they are a form of collective enjoyment, a way of keeping history alive and proof of a particular mindset. Life does not always need to make sense. These quirky festivals reflect something deeply British humor, a strong sense of community, and the ability to find joy in places no one would normally expect. Moving on to habit number 9. In Britain, going to the pub is not simply about drinking beer. The pub is a familiar space where people meet, chat, watch sports, and step away from the busy pace of daily life after a long day. It is a place where colleagues stop by after work, friends meet on weekends, and even strangers can start a conversation after just a few polite exchanges. Inside a pub, the atmosphere is always relaxed and welcoming. People stand or sit next to one another, holding a drink, talking about football, the weather, or very ordinary everyday topics. There is no need to dress up and no special occasion required, simply wanting to unwind is enough. For many British people, the pub feels like an extended living room of the community, a place where anyone can belong. It is this simplicity that makes the pub a central part of social life in Britain. It is not loud or glamorous, but a space where people connect naturally and effortlessly, perfectly reflecting the British approach to social interaction. Finally, the last habit is weather-adapted fashion. This has always been a familiar challenge for the British, especially in the winter of 2026, when the weather can change unpredictably within a single day. Rather than following flashy trends, the British prefer layering as a practical way to adapt to rain, wind, and sudden drops in temperature. High-quality wool has become a favored material not only for its warmth, but also for the sense of refinement and durability it provides. A thin knit worn underneath a cardigan or blazer on top, and a heavier coat when needed, everything centers around flexibility and practicality. This style clearly reflects the British way of life, not overly elaborate, yet always prepared for whatever the weather may bring. Ultimately, British habits are not merely social rituals or personal preferences. They are reflections of a long history and a deep sense of national identity. No matter how fast the world moves in 2026, the British continue to preserve their quiet moments of calm, whether through an afternoon cup of tea or the patience shown while standing in line. By understanding these habits, we don't just see an elegant way of living, but also learn how to value tradition amid the relentless pace of modern life. Thank you for listening until the end. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.